very good morning to all of you. Thank you so much for turning up. You know, a few years back, I think it was, and I was narrating this to Sudha Murthy ma'am as well. 2.5 years back, I said, you know, we have to get authors to come and visit labs and talk about their books. A lot of people said, Firoz, this is a very stupid idea because nobody will turn up. I think we're seeing a completely different picture today. Now, I don't know whether it is Sudha Murthy that's getting all the people here. Is it the author in her, or is it the personality that has brought all of you here? But I can tell you we are going to have a very interesting 1 hour ahead of us. First of all, it gives me absolutely great pleasure to have with us a very eminent social worker, a prolific writer, Padma Shri, Dr. Mrs. Sudha Murthy. Please give a big round of applause, sir. It's very difficult to do an introduction of somebody of her stature. For someone like me who's grown up admiring her, and I'll tell you my personal interactions with her. 7 years back, I don't know exactly which date it was, ma'am, but it was the release of one of her earlier books called Wise and Otherwise, which was done at Strand Bookstore. That's the first time I saw her. And I was always hoping someday I'll get to meet her and maybe have a longer conversation, which kind of became a reality 3 or 4 months back in June, where we happened to be speaking at the Innovation Summit. And she was doing a panel discussion with a few other very, very powerful speakers, including Shashi Deshpande, Dr. Kiran Bedi, and others. And there was something that she told about herself, which I still remember. She said she's been a very impractical person in her entire life, whether it was writing to J.R.D. Tata or marrying Mr. Murthy. So she's been a very, very impractical person. We are going to focus purely on her writing today. Yeah? I know there will be questions on the other aspects, but if you look at her ability to write, it's absolutely not impractical. I mean, she's written, if I'm right, 8 novels, 6 collection of short stories, 4 technical books, 3 travelogues, more than 135 titles in 16 different languages. Now, that can't be impractical, ma'am, right? And to balance her social work with such prolific writing requires a completely different level of commitment. And we've met a lot of authors, and everybody tells us that writing is a very, very disciplined activity. So we will speak a little bit about her writings. When did she start? How did she start? Where does she get the inspiration from? And so on, as we spend the next hour with her. This is an absolutely informal, open setup. All of you are free to ask questions. As I said, we'll try to focus on the writing aspect, though of course you can ask any questions that you have. I've just set the stage. We have Sumit here who've prepared a few questions. We'll take a few questions from him and I'll then open it to the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from Dr. Mrs. Sudha Murthy.
I really feel that your question, you're quizzing me, but I'm not scared because I'm a teacher. Because I'm impractical, I can write. People who are highly emotional, they can write better. Because when you are very practical, you can't see anything to write there. What is there? Somebody meets, you meet a poor person, you meet a beggar. You meet a beggar, that's all. But if you are impractical, then you think, what if I were a beggar, if I were in his shoes, what I would have done? The moment you think such things, then you are emotional. And when you are emotional, you are impractical. And when you are impractical, you write. You can ask, I'm really surprised to see so many people coming for my session. I used to ask this question to my son, because I'm very friendly with my both children. They are my friends. I said, tell me why people come, why there is so much of a big rush in my session. And let us be very open about it. He said, Amma, please remember, people don't come to see you. You are not Aishwarya Rai. I said, that I know long back. People come to see how is Narayan Murthy's wife. That's the main reason I think people have come to see me. Second thing, he says, you always tell stories. My student Purnima is here. I met her, I'm meeting her maybe after 10 years or 12 years, I think. So, or maybe 15 years for that matter. So he said, you are a teacher, so you know how to read your students' mind and you can control them through your stories. And it is an entertainment program. People come to see you and listen to you. Either way is fine, but I'm really grateful that you have left your work and you have come. Probably I would not have done if I were in your place. And I said, okay, I will come, but I will go somewhere else. So I'm really grateful that you have come all the way. Now, you can ask me, they said, do you read any part of your book? I said, no, I have not come to sell my books here at all. You know, they are sold otherwise also by themselves. I said, okay, let me have a question answer session. You can ask any questions. As a teacher, when I used to ask this, tell in my class, after my portion is over, ask me any questions, and invariably my students would ask, when you went out with Mr. Murthy before marriage, who paid for the dinner? I said, leaving that question, you can ask other things because it is by default understood that I paid and he was unemployed. Okay. Now you can ask me any questions which I can answer, I will answer. Which I cannot, I will not be able to. I will accept it. Because it's the one thing which I have learned with my students. When you do not know, better to tell I do not know than pretend I know and make fool of yourself. So I will not do that. You can ask any questions. In my limitation, whatever I know, I would be able to answer. Or you want to start what is writing, why one has to write. Either way is fine with me. It is left to you.
Maybe I'll take the first privilege of asking the first question. And we in fact spent the last half an hour talking about Dr. Kalam. I think we didn't speak about anything else. And there is a very beautiful piece she has written in one of the books about Dr. Kalam. And of course, we can spend the whole day probably speaking about her, but since he was here with us a few months back, and we've seen such a great personality amongst us, what has been your interactions with somebody like Dr. Kalam? What has been your learnings from him?
Actually, I know Mr. Kalam before he became president. When he was I think I have written in my book about him that how I met him first time and how he talked to me. He used to read my column and then he called me. It is nice to be simple, but it's very difficult to be simple. It's not easy to be simple. To be innocent is a great quality, but holding it forever is extraordinary quality. And Kalam is that kind of a person who is really a secular, because I have seen him in a very close quarters. I traveled with him in the state of Bihar for 4 days. He is a real secular, a true Indian, extremely simple. That I was describing you. He said, Sudha, I told that guy, your operating system is not good. That is a window. I said, sir, who is that guy? He said, that fellow who came from US, you didn't get the name. I said, Bill Gates, that fellow only. I was so surprised. I was taken aback. That means he is like a childlike innocence, He said, no, I didn't like. So when I came to Rashtrapati Bhavan, and that time he was the President of India. He said, that means that shows that he's so good. He's so good. He's so clear about his thinking. And he's so different than most of us. It is very difficult to be like him. It's very difficult. I always salute for his positive energy, which we do not have at this age. At least I don't have. He will get up at 4:30 in the morning and he will say, 6 o'clock the tour should be ready. And it will end at 11:30, 12 in the night. In Bihar, we saw the entire Bihar in 3 days. It's very difficult to be like him. And I have not met anyone in my life, someone like him. So simple, so much loves his country, and so much There is no age difference between him and a school child. He can get along well with any age group, and that is God's gift. Not everybody will have. He is very a gifted person. He is a people's person.
Ma'am, I have a few questions for you on behalf of the audience. We have a book interest group called Literati, and I have a few questions about books. The first question that I have for you is, in the age of electronic books, we have e-books now, we have podcasts, we have YouTube. The traditional ways of gaining knowledge have changed. So you don't anymore need to depend on books in the paper format. So keeping this in mind, do you still think it is important, it is necessary to read in the traditional format? Or do you see that over a period of time, the traditional format of books will evolve and give way to something new?
To be very honest, I really do not know what will happen after 30 years or 20 years. I'll tell you a story. There was a very intelligent person, statistician in England, and King used to consult him. One day he was really worried, and the king asked, "Why are you worried?" He said, at that time we were all India was the colony of Britain. He said, every rich man in Britain owns a horse carriage, or Victoria we call in Bombay language. Okay? Every Victoria requires, in those days, 4 horses. He said, after 100 years, how many rich people will be in Britain? He extrapolated using the Newton's law of extrapolation. And in one house, you require minimum 4 carriages, because the Lord will have a carriage, his wife will have one, his daughter will have one, his son will have one, assuming they have only 2 children. He calculated that after 100 years, how many rich people will be in England and how many carriages will be there. So the king said, "Why are you worried?" He said, "There is no problem. What happens if there are that many horses are there? The dung of the horse." Oh, no, it's a practical solution. What to do with that? Today, we put them in a pit. After 100 years, they will be maybe 10 times or 100 times more than what we have. Then there is no place, because England is an island, small island. So we have to put the dung of the horse in the sea. The sea, with that dung and the sea water will react. So many germs will be generated. That will affect and may wipe out the entire England population. So I'm worried that after 100 years, there will not be a single person in England. Little did he know, it's a true story, that within 100 years there was James Watt, there was Michael Faraday, and there was Mahatma Gandhi. You had a steam engine, you had an electrical engine, then India also never remained as a colony of British. We became independent. Now, not that many rich people will be in England, maybe that many rich people may be in India. So extrapolating what we see with a limited knowledge and coming to the conclusion is not correct. Who knew? I went for a delivery, second delivery on maternity leave in 1983, and after I come back to my house after 3-4 months, there was a personal computer, and I worked on a mainframe machine. I was so scared to touch personal computer because this is in 1983. For me, it was unimaginable that you can have a computer at home, because we used to work in a mainframe machine, in an AC environment, etc. So whatever limited knowledge we have, in that if you extrapolate, it's very difficult. However, I will try to tell you. Maybe my generation is so much used to, I may be biased in this answer. I always feel comfortable. I have Kindle also at home. Okay? I have Kindle, I have paper book. Paper book has its own advantage. Number one, it doesn't require electricity or battery charging. Okay? Number two, over a period of time, your eyes will definitely affect if you use that much computer. I'm sure all of you will have specs numbers within 5 years. Most of you. And backache. Backache as a professional hazard. So whatever little bit time you have, even that time you want to spend with the Kindle, then you had it. That's the way I look at it. Book can be transported. You can read, and though it's not a good habit, read, sleep and read, lie down and read. You can carry anywhere and read. You are waiting for a bus, you can read. You can sit in your bus to go home 1.5 hours, you can read. Though it's not good habit because it will affect the eye. Books are easy to transport. And maybe I'm brought up with that. But however, I feel electronic way of reading is not good. The books will remain. But the form of books may be different because over a period of time, no book has remained the same except the classic books. So book reading, book as such might remain, may not be in the same 100%, maybe 50, 60% and 40% Kindle. People who don't read, for them there's no problem. People who read, then only they have problem. And space at home may be reduced. Okay, you will keep only those books which are important. The rest you can put in Kindle. Some 50-50 might happen. But writing of experience or book always will continue because ever since the human race learned how to learn the discovery of the alphabet and reading, it will continue, but always with modification.
Thank you.
You don't have to clap compulsory. It's okay.
Thank you, ma'am. For those of us who love the book in its traditional format, we hope that it will continue. Now, we are curious to know where you started your journey as a writer. When and how did you begin to write? Did you always write in English, or did you start with Kannada and then you moved on? Now you write in multiple languages. Where did this journey of writing start?
I don't know whether I have told this in a CII. I might not have told. There was no time. When I was married, Mr. Murthy took me to somebody's house and he said, they are very rich people. I said, so what? I always look at life. So what? They may be rich. So we went to their house for dinner, and we had dinner. They served food in a silver thali, and I come from a middle class family. We never use silver in our house except in puja time, one small silver thali. Day to day, it was either a plantain leaf or a steel tatte. So I went to their house. They served everything in steel, silver. Everything was with the gold touch, etc. I came back and told Mr. Murthy how poor they are. He said, what? I said, there was no book in their house. That is the way I have been brought up. The richness of the house, the index is how many books you have. Because I come from not rich family, I come from a middle class family where my grandfather was a school teacher, my father was a professor, and in our family the gift were always books, never money or never clothes or any other thing. So book became an integral part of my life from the childhood. And I had an advantage. I grew up in a village. The advantage of growing up in a village is that, and in those days, fortunately, we did not have TV. No TV. So grandfather will describe me the story of, he was a history teacher in a school, in a primary school. So he was a very well-read person. So he will describe me the story of Padmini. Padmini's Johar, or Birbal Akbar Birbal stories, or Rana Pratap of the Chittor, or Ramayana or Mahabharata. And I would imagine each character the way I can think. Like Rama was so tall, dark complexion. Sita was like this. Draupadi was dark in complexion. And once the TV serial came, I saw Krishna was tall, the way they described. After that, there was a puja at home. They said, you think of Lord Krishna. I thought of Nitin Bharadwaj. I told Nitin, you are so much engraved in my mind as a Krishna. My original Krishna disappeared. My original Krishna was left to my imagination. He could have been 6 feet tall. He could have been a wider arms. He would have been lotus-eyed. Different way. TV killed to some extent imagination. And I was brought up in a village where there was only 3 months in a year we have a touring talkies. 9 months, no. It was a rainy. There used to be a lot of rains in those days. No touring talkies. So our resources, our entertainment was so much limited other than reading. Today's children, I don't blame anybody because it is a habit. When you grow old, it becomes a habit to blame the next generation. Next generation is bad. Our generation was better. There's nothing like that. If you go to Giza in Egypt, there are Giza Pyramids are well known, but if you go further down in Memphis, I think, the oldest pyramids, Saqqara, these are all the oldest pyramids. They're inside, I took one PhD student who can tell me the details. He told me that something is written which is not important. I said, no, tell me what is that. Because when others say it is not important, I want to know what is important. I always traveled the path less traveled. And I always enjoyed it. So I told him, sure, tell me. He said, oh, there's a normal thing. I said, what is that normal thing? 7,000 years back, Egyptians have written in the pyramid, our next generation is reckless. Our next generation do not know how to save. They are not practical. They are, more, they like luxury. I do not know how they will come up. I said, it is a great statement. Every generation thinks next generation is like that. You ask your grandfather, said, oh, my generation was great. You ask your father, your generation was great. So I said, I will never do that. When I grow old, I will never do that. I always feel your generation is same as my generation. A by B is equal to 2 by 4 is equal to 3 by 6 is equal to 4 by 8. It is always 1 by 2. Just because you have 4, you are not great because in denominator is 8. We are always same. The way you look at it. Life has given you many opportunities, like internet it has given you. It has given you lot more computer access, lot more things, but it also has given you lot more difficulties. You travel to your house, it takes 1.5 hours. Whereas we used to travel in 15 minutes. So whatever advantage we had also our own disadvantage. Now you join for your job, they expect you to be expert within 1 week. Whereas in telco, when I joined, our training period was 2 years. So can you imagine 2 years training period? So 2 years you can learn whatever you want. Today none of you will have two months training period because it's a high pressure job. So I always feel the next generation has advantage. No, they have their own advantage, their own stress. In my generation, I grew up in a village with less entertainment, and the only entertainment was books. And books became my friends because I enjoyed their company all the time. I have written 2 articles that library for at least one village about my grandfather who told me that you must set up a library book for at least one school. And now we have done 15,000 schools in Karnataka alone. Once you start reading, then your imagination increase. And most people think that I cannot write. Actually, that is really not true. Everybody can write. But my first article to today's article, there's a vast difference because I have grown old. My grey hair, every grey hair tells me lot of experience, lot of failures, lot of success. People think, oh, Mrs. Murthy, your life must be really all the time successful. No. The most successful man also will undergo the disasters of failures, but he will never sit there, or she will never sit there. She will come up. I have seen lot of failures in life, lot of success in life, and overall my journey has taught me so many things. And every experience of your journey, if you write from your heart, it becomes a good writing. Initially, you may not know what tense you should write, past tense, present tense, what language you should write. It is what I write, you will not be able to write. What you will write, I will not be able to write. Everybody has their own method of writing. So from the school days, I used to write. You are given a mic to a teacher, don't forget, you will never get it back. So from school days, I used to write long essays. And, I used to describe my school trip, if it is a Hampi, Halebeedu, Belur. Nobody will read, it doesn't matter. For my own sake, I used to write. And when I was in teenage, I started writing for paper. Today, when I look back, I feel so foolish. I did not know what is life. I always thought life was like always colorful. There is no difficulties at all. So that reflects, what you think that reflects in your story. So I used to write in the teenage some stories and all. Then later I used to write, in engineering college I hardly wrote because never got time and there were no girls who can trace my glass. I can trace their glass. I don't know that you don't have, I think, that system now. We still have glass trace classes. After the class we will sit and trace each other's drawings and we will not do our original drawings. I did not have that facility because I was the only girl. There were boys used to be in queue to take my original drawing. So next 4 or 5 years I did not write much. And then but it was always in me that I see something, I'll come back home and write. And I just keep it. I need not send it to papers at all. I will just write and keep it. Once I traveled the US by backpack with hardly any money, very little money. All places, I think. After that, I have not seen US that much. I came back and I felt it's a very strange experience. And not today. I'm talking this 33 years back, almost 33 years back. And that is why I come from a small town known as Hubli. A Hubli girl traveling on a backpack in US and no relatives there, but somehow I managed. First time I said, I wrote my experience. Then I said, I should publish this. The first time I felt I should publish that. And I went to a publisher. And I thought he will say no, who will read? But to my surprise, he said, no, I will publish. It was in Kannada, Atlantica Dache, the From Beyond Atlantic. I wrote my first book, the book has published, but my articles used to be published in paper on and off. So that's my first book in 1979, and I dedicated that to Mr. Murthy because who helped me financially. He toiled in India and gave me money to do my adventure. So, and once the book came out, everybody liked it, and I felt it, oh, even I can write, and even my book can come out. Because until that I was hesitant, like people who do not write, they are always hesitant, who will read? The first question is, who will read? When you're writing first time, when you become used to like me, I said, no, let them not read. Today I say, let anybody read or not, I will write, I will publish. Then you get that confidence over a period of time that, first time you always feel, who will read, I used to be worried, what is the comment on the book? Today I don't even read the review. I said, that is their way of looking at it, my way is different. So I wrote in 1979, my first book came. And then next book came in 1980 because I became confident. It was my novel. First time I wrote a novel in 1980. I was posted in Jamshedpur in Bihar for 3 or 4 months. And there is absolutely nothing you can do in Jamshedpur in the evening. So I said, okay, why can't I write? That is a life of an executive's wife. Actually, it's very surprising. I used to ask Mr. Murthy how the executives live, what their wives do, how do they spend time. He said, I don't know. I always used to think, how will they spend their time? And one friend of mine was an executive in a small company. I used to ask his wife. So I imagined and I wrote how lonely their life would be. And later everybody thinks it's my own life. Actually, it is not true. Because I have never been lonely. I'm always a people's person. I talk. I'm an extrovert. But I imagined if there's an introvert and she's the CEO's wife, what does she feel? And that is a Bakula novel. I wrote in 1980 my first novel. And then I went on writing novels like this. I won't remember the sequence now because there are 30 books. But until 10 years back, 10 years back, once New Indian Express editor George called me and he said, Sudha, will you write columns for us? I said, George, I have never written in English. I always wrote in Kannada. I'm a Kannada medium SSLC. I did my Kannada medium including mathematics, physics and chemistry in Kannada. Rasayana Shastra, Bhauta Shastra and everything in Kannada. So I said, I'm not, English is only one language to me. I said, I'm not sure whether I will be able to express very well in English. But I prefer Kannada. He said, Mrs. Murthy, please remember, storytelling is an art which you have mastered over a period of time. And language is a vehicle. Language is nothing but a vehicle. You can sit in this vehicle or that vehicle. No, but if you don't have storytelling art, then there's no point in knowing English also. So I said, whatever I know, I will write. You can edit. The first one I wrote, Hanumantapa's column, the boy from Ballari who got a first rank. It's a true story. And ever since, my columns started appearing in all the papers. 10 years back, I started writing in English, and then I decided I will translate all my books into English. I will do myself. I don't want anyone else because I am a writer. I know the characters very well. They are always in my mind. They are like my daughters. All the heroines are my daughters. So only I can understand my daughters, no one else. So I started writing simultaneously. Now it is very easy for me. I have a format. Anything which is precise, anything which goes to paper, column, I write in English first and then translate into Kannada. If I have to write a novel, I write in Kannada first because it's an emotional thing which I can think only in my mother tongue and then translate into English. Children's story, I think in English, I write in English. And when I write English, it's on computer. When I write in Kannada, it's a shorthand on a paper.
Thank you, ma'am. You've written some children's books. There's The Magic Drum and Other Favorite Stories. And then there's this book called How I Taught My Grandmother to Read and Other Stories. So we are a little curious to know when and how did you teach your grandmother to read?
Actually, it came in the national TV and got a first prize, Meri Pahili Chhatra, directed by Manju Singh, maybe a couple of years back, or maybe, I don't remember. After some time, you don't even remember, because I have an Excel sheet now. Which language, which is come, Gujarati. Actually, it's very funny. I get maximum royalty from English, then I get from Gujarati, and then I get from Marathi. And so I will not be, I won't remember. This has come in 2 years back, I think. It's a true story, and it's about my, how much time I have?
A lot.
12, up to 12?
You have a lot of time. Yes.
No, a lot of time. Because it takes an hour and a half for me to reach home. My grandmother, I grew up in a village. I told you my grandfather was a school teacher, but he taught us, but he never taught his wife. Like all men. Okay. And in those days, in our village, the newspaper will come in the afternoon, and magazines will come one day late. I remember, or Kannada paper is to come in around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The bus was not the Tapal bus. The Tapal bus means which will bring the paper. So there used to be a magazine called Karmavira, and that had a serial, story serial, and it used to come on Wednesday. That was due on Monday, but you will get on Wednesday. And evening time, my grandmother was not educated. She was a housewife with 10 children. She lost 6, and she had 4 children left and 13 grandchildren. There used to be a lot of work at home. Ours is a farmer's family, so there used to be a lot of work at home. So every Wednesday evening, I will sit down and I will read that book, that magazine. In that, there is a paper serial known as Kashi Yatre, the story of a widow who wanted to go to Kashi desperately, and how she saves money on all the details. My grandmother, being a very pious lady, always attracted towards going to Kashi, which she never did. She said, "You read Kashi Yatre for me." And probably, as a reader, I know, when as a writer and reader relationship is, if the reader recognizes herself or himself in any character of your book, then the book is successful. Otherwise, the book will not be successful. If I write something which only few people can read, and very few people can identify, then it will not be successful. So my grandfather identified herself with the old lady in Kashi Yatre, and every Wednesday she will wait. She will cook very fast. She will clean the house, and she said, "The Tapal bus has come, get the paper, get the magazine, and you read for me." And I used to read, but I was 12 years old. She was 50 years older than me. She was 62 years old. And then evening she will go to temple, and I used to go accompany her, and they will talk about, then she will tell this story to her friends who are also illiterate. Today my granddaughter read this, and this has happened, that lady has come up to Kashi, she's going here, she doesn't have money, as if she is going to Kashi. And I never used to understand why there's so much to discuss in that Kashi Yatre. Once there was a wedding in our village, neighboring village of my cousin, and in those the wedding was 1 week, not like half-day wedding. They did not have much work, and we did not have much work. So it is fine. You go to a wedding means 1 week off. So we all went to wedding, and grandmother did not come. She said, "Are you sure you will come back before Wednesday?" I said, "No problem. I will come on Tuesday only." I went there. A lot of laddus were prepared, and lot of cousins were there. I forgot my promise, and I had a great time eating mango, eating laddu. And elders were not there. Go to river and take bath. Nobody will check you. You don't have to clean anything. You don't have to do any work. So I forgot my promise to my grandmother, and I came back only on Thursday. And when I came back, grandmother kept everything ready to eat, etc. And after eating, in the night, I was sleeping on the terrace. My grandmother came, and I used to sleep next to her. She came, I thought she's just coming and sleeping next to me, but she came and she started crying. I have never seen elders crying, I thought only youngsters will cry and elders will say, don't worry, everything will be all right. This was the reverse one. I asked her, why are you crying? What's the matter? Are you not well? She said, no. Why you did not come on Tuesday? I said, what is there? I have come today. She said, Wednesday, Karmavira magazine came. I saw Kashi Yatre. I wanted to read. But I took my palm and just, put them on the storybook section, but I was unable to read. I wish my hands knew how to read. She said, if they understood what each word is, I would have understood. I don't know what happened to that lady in Kashi Yatra, whether she reached Kashi or not. I said, I will read today. She said, not that. She said, any amount of money in life, any amount of farm, because we are farmers, any amount of dhanya, that means grains, will not make you independent. To be independent is to learn to read and write. I never understood what she was telling. I said, Ajji, I used to call her Awwa. Awwa, you want to read? I will get up and read. She said, not that, beta. I realized I am so much dependent on someone. That means that person is not there. I can't even read anything. What a dependency this is. What a gulamgiri, she told. Because we also mix Urdu in our language. She said, it's slavery. So I said, what do you have to do? She said, will you teach me to read and write Kannada? I said, why your hair is like, no, I am like my grandmother, all hair grey. I said, hair is grey. And you want to learn at this age? She said, for learning, age no bar. If you want to learn, age no bar. You should have determination. You should have interest in. So will you teach me? I said, okay, no problem. Next day morning, I thought she will tell and she will forget. Next day she brought party, that means slate and chalk piece, and she did Saraswati Puja, and I started teaching. Then I got suddenly an authority to teach who is 50 years older than me. I became very strict with her. I said, have you done this? No, stand up, sit down and all those things. Shamelessly and not even understanding one requires punishment, particularly a old grandmother. I punished, but she never gave me much opportunity to punish her. If I tell her to repeat, she will repeat 3 times, she will repeat 10 times. If I tell her to write 3 times, she will write 10 times. In the night, we never had electricity, she will put kandil and dipa, and then she will be reciting. I will be sleeping and said, okay, 2 times over, 4 times over. So I bossed her for a month or 2, like that. And later, I used to fall asleep earlier than her. And then came Vijayadashmi, Dasara, and we have Saraswati Puja on 8th day. So grandmother called me inside the day, puja room, and by that time, I used to get about 2 anna, 3 anna as my pocket money, because I was a very favorite granddaughter. I saved 14 annas. In those days, 1 rupee means 16 annas. And by that time, Kashi Yatre came in the form of a book. Serial was over, it came in the form of a book. I bought that book and kept, I said, I'll surprise my grandmother, she can't read, I'll show her. And she called me, and then she told me, you sit down, and I sat on a platform, Mane. She put kumkum, and she gave me a frock material. I was very happy. And suddenly she touched my feet. I was taken aback. I said, why are you touching my feet? She said, is it not true? It is written, it is told by our elders, a person who teaches you in one word is also a teacher. Kalisidatam varnamatram guru. That's originally in Kannada. If somebody teaches you in one word, one letter, the person is your guru. You have taught me so much. You have opened the door. See that you have opened the door of reading and writing. You have given me a new sight in life. You are like, you have changed my life forever. So there's nothing wrong if I touch the feet of a guru. Then suddenly I nullified it by touching her feet, because it is not correct, elders touching our feet. Then I took my book, that Kashi Yatre, which it was hidden in my langa. I said, okay, will you read this? She said, Kashi Yatre by Triveni. But Triveni was the writer. She passed her examination in flying colors. In real life, she taught me a great lesson, which I have never forgotten. Learning, there is no age bar. Even at this age of 60, I have joined a diploma in epigraphy, a diploma in folk art, and a diploma in Kannada 8th century, Purva Kannada. Even at this age, with all my busy schedule, I have 3 teachers. I learn because she taught me anything you want to learn, it is the mindset. It is not the physical thing, what you can, you have or you don't.
We'll quickly open the floor for audience questions. First person over there.
Hello, ma'am. I'm seeing you for the second time. The first time I saw you was in the year 2003 in a marriage at Dharwad. One of your friend, Giza Shankar, she was a school teacher, her daughter's wedding. Anyway, the question is...
Where in Dharwad? You tell me the place.
No, I visited Dharwad only once for that marriage. Her name is Giza Shankar. She's a teacher in Bangalore. She used to stay in Tyagaraja Nagar. And her son happens to be my close friend.
I know.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Her son's wedding.
So the question is, few years back in Vijay Karnataka, I read an article. The story goes like this. One guy was supposed to marry one girl, but he rejected. A couple of days before the marriage, when the arrangement was all done, okay, the day before his wedding, which he didn't want to go, he read your article, okay, so he got inspired and he agreed for the marriage. They sent you the invitation, you attended that wedding also. So my question now is, so how did you feel in that particular situation when someone who doesn't want to even listen to his parents wants to, get into a marriage, which is a major thing in his life, just by reading a book. And that's when I realized, a book can really inspire people. So how did you feel on that particular day?
Okay. Okay. This is the this is the column I wrote in Vijay Karnataka, A Wedding to Remember. Marayalagada Maduve. It's also in English, A Wedding to Remember.
Yeah.
It's very strange actually. I felt very strange because I never knew that my writing will be so effective. I write because I enjoy writing. I enjoy writing and I write. There's a book by the name Mahashweta. I wrote maybe 25 years back. Today if I have to write, I will write in different way. When you start writing, every year if you go on maturing, thinking different, the same book after 25 years you don't write the same way. That's what I realized. Anyway, Mahashweta was written maybe 20 or 22 years back. And one day I get a postcard saying that you must come for the wedding. And if you don't come for the wedding, we really feel the wedding is not proper, or we feel the wedding is not complete. I was so surprised. Nobody will invite you this way. They say you must come for the wedding with family and friend and grace the occasion. That kind of a thing we have heard. That the wedding is incomplete or something I have never heard. I said fine. And I teach computer science in both. I used to teach computer science. I said maybe one of my students must have written this way. So I told my father, who was alive at that time, hey, let's go for a wedding. And the wedding was in BL Chhatra somewhere, quite a distance from Jayanagar. Then my father said, are you sure you know the people? I said, let's go and find out. So rainy season, we went there and I go and see these two people on dais. I have never seen them before. That means they are definitely not my students. Then I said, let's go back. Maybe Sudha is a very common name, Murthy is very common name. So it could be some other Sudha Murthy. We got a wrong invitation, we'll go back. And suddenly somebody saw us and said, no, please come. You must have dinner, lunch. I said, we don't even know the couple and having a free lunch is not correct. At least now I feel. When I was a kid, I said, okay, free lunch is fine. But today, I feel it is not correct. Then they took us to dayas and both of them did namaskara. And I said, which year you passed out? He said, no, we are not your students, they told me. Because sometimes I can't make out. If they tell me the passing year or, like Purnima told me I was the batchmate of these people, then I'll be able to know. Then they said, you come for lunch. They are not leaving me. And they gave me a sari also. Gift, sari. I said, not only you don't know them, you eat shamelessly and you get a sari. I said, I said, you should tell me, why are you giving me? I don't know this couple. They said, you eat and we'll tell. Somehow I ate reluctantly and then they said, this boy was engaged to a girl, family friends, and he was posted in Dubai. And after the engagement, he realized she developed leukoderma. white patch, okay, which has a vitiligo in a medical word, vitiligo. And the boy said, I don't, though he knew the girl very well from, they were family friends. He said, no, I don't want to marry this girl. She has vitiligo and tomorrow it may cover her entire body or our children may get and I don't want to marry. Then they were very sad because nobody can argue, this is your personal matter. Your father cannot tell. They said, look, if you would have got it, what she would have done. If she would have got it after marriage, what would have done. All this if and re went on, you know. Because they all felt he should marry her. It doesn't matter. And he said no. And he went back to Dubai and everybody was very upset with him. While he was going, he took a few books from the airport and he happened to take this Mahashweta, which is the problem of leukoderma. I have written Atishvetaha, Mahashvetaha, that means on leukoderma. The heroine of that novel gets leukoderma after her marriage and how much she suffers and undergoes difficulties, how she makes her life independent, and at the end she said, it is not the external beauty, it is the internal strength that is very important. And he liked it so much, he said, it is not the external beauty, it is the internal strength of a person who is more important. And there is absolutely no theory proves that if you have vitiligo, your children will get this. Like diabetes is more proven than vitiligo actually. And he came back and he wrote to his father that I will marry her. And then they searched my address and sent me a card that you must come for the wedding. And that is I wrote as a column when I came back. An ordinary person like me can pen a novel like Mahashweta. And reading that, if people can change their decision, I really feel it is really rewarding success than my royalty in the bank.
Ma'am, this is a real honor to sit and listen to your words flowing like a river. My question here for you is, you would have witnessed the advent of Western culture in Indian culture. Basically, my question would be, what would be your advice to this generation, boys and girls, where we fight for everything with our parents, right from food, dress, and definitely for marriage and rest of the things?
That's correct actually. What's my advice? Advice to parents or advice to you people? Advice to you people. It is not that purposely you fight. I understand your difficulties. You know, in my time, there will be minimum in per house, there will be 4 to 6 children. So, and there was only one earning member, that is father. Mother is busy in cooking and looking after the house. Parents did not have time to sort out the fights between brothers and sisters. They will fight and they will unite also. So children were never parents never concentrated on children. Today you have only 2 or 1. At times 1, at times 2. 3 is rare. 2 boys, 2 girls, 1 boy, 1 girl, or 1 girl, only 1 boy. Both parents are earning, either in a bank, your generation parents are earning. Parents put extraordinary care or they concentrate on child a lot. So actually I want to advise parents, don't concentrate so much on children. Please allow their freedom. Did you eat? Why you did not eat more chapati? You ate only 2. Are you not well? Let us go to the doctor immediately. Okay, take a leave tomorrow. Holiday, where you want to go? You are upset. Where you want to go for a holiday? Singapore, Malaysia, America. You are upset. So what? You will cool down after 2 days. You don't want to eat chapati, maybe with your girlfriend, you must have eaten somewhere else. Take it easy. Just parents should take it easy. Because they should not concentrate, because it becomes irritable for children. If somebody is observing you all the time, then let it be mother or father, you feel conscious about it. You have your separate room, then you close your door. Your mother is worried, why is closing the door? With whom is talking? Is she the girl from my community or not? Okay, who is the girl? All those things. First of all, I always feel, you take it easy. Don't make everything very serious. Parents, I tell more than you, children are not our unfulfilled dreams. If I can't achieve, I should not think my child should achieve it. I have not achieved, I have not achieved. Why my unfulfilled dream, my child should finish or achieve? It is not correct. You should, that's the reason parents observe you, you become irritant. Second thing, parents always want the best for you. On your end, I will tell you. If parents advise, I tell parents, you should pick up the fights which are serious, the rest you should not. Why are you wearing a red dress? Change it. Why are you wearing the black dress? Don't do that. Let them wear, at least as long as it covers the body, keep quiet. Okay? So parents are anxious about you. And in return, you have difficulties which you cannot share with others. Because suppose you are the only child with whom you can share. If you have two brothers, that boy is going with one girlfriend, you are going with another girlfriend, then you cannot sit and talk because you have your own problems. Take life as it comes. Do not have too much expectations in life, and once you are not able to meet the expectation, you are irritable, you get upset, you fight, or you get into depression. Don't do that. Take life as it comes. And that most people don't do. You know, everybody has a dream. Nothing wrong in having dream. But the higher the dream, you can have higher the dream. But you work hard, but there is no guarantee the dream will fulfill. Except when it is not fulfilled, okay, I tried. None of you have the patience. I dream and the dream has to come true. This is not necessary. Every day is a gift. It is not philosophical, it is a practical. You have everything is a set goal, like you have SAP office, you have project goal. 10th of December they should complete. Similarly, all of you have goals in life. Whenever there is a goal with human relationship, you may or may not be able to achieve. If you have goals in the office, you are able to achieve. You should understand there are many things which are beyond you. Personal relation, health and situations are beyond you. What is in your hand is completion of the project, hard work, building a house, material things you can have a goal and achieve. But there are many things in life which are not material goals, they are beyond you. And that you should understand. As a lonely child, you think whatever you get, whatever you want, you get. You think, similarly, I want to marry Mr. X, so you marry. The Mr. X may not be interested in you. He may look nice in a courting period. After courting period, he may not be nice. Please understand, human relation and health are very difficult things to handle. And most of the time, they are beyond you. Because of the corporate houses and offices, you are successful in your project. You extend that in your personal life. Personal life is so independent of professional life. When you make a difference between that and accept things that I have failed, fine, it's okay. The girl rejected me, that is fine. I am first ranker, I have a very good job in SAP, I am a project manager. So how can I fail? You may not fail in your project life or in office life, but in the real life, the girl may not like you. Please accept as it comes in a personal life. And if somebody is upset and fight, actually I pity them. That means the person is not able to control. You should pity people who are upset, because they are not even able to control their own mind. How will they control others? Take it that way, and you have to practice it. Please remember, it will not come in one day. Over a period of time, it comes if you practice. I was not like this 30 years back. I practice consciously. Do deep breathing. I'm not a Ramdev, but I'm telling you. Do deep breathing. It helps you because you can get a lot of oxygen. Okay? Cool your mind by some yogic, whatever method you feel like de-stressing, it helps you a lot. Before you talk, check your tongue twice. Please remember, what you eat, you cannot take out. What you talk, you cannot take in.
We have time for one more audience question. So there's the lady over there to my left. Can we get a mic across?
Yeah, that's a girl, right?
Namaskara. I just wanted to know what inspired you to serve people, and second question, what are the 16 languages you write in?
No, I will answer second question first. I don't write in 16 languages. I write in only 2 languages. Though I can speak 7 to 8 languages, but I write only 2 languages, Kannada and English. I can speak, I'm bilingual with Marathi, to great extent Gujarati and many languages, Konkani, to some extent Urdu, Hindi, and no problem. But I cannot write. Writing requires tremendous vocabulary of that language. And you can put many emotions in one word. That is a good writing. I have translators. I have 16 translators. Actually 13 language I think so. My Excel sheet will tell you. I have translators in Dogri, Kashmiri, Urdu, Sanskrit, Marathi, Gujarati, Malayalam, Tamil, Telugu, what is Hindi, that makes 10, Oriya, 11, Assami, 12, Gujarat, 13, Sindhi may be there, 14. When you look at a 100 rupee note, know what languages you can see? Okay. What is that? What inspires me to do social work? Compassion. Compassion for others. That makes me, many people ask me, why do you work? I said, when I look at people who are not fortunate, I always feel that it is my duty to help people. I come from a middle class family. I never aimed to earn a lot. I always aimed to have a lot more books, that I agree. And accidentally we started Infosys. And accidentally it became so well known. We must have worked hard. There are many people who work hard, not only we. So I feel that God probably made me rich for a cause. The cause is not to enjoy the wealth for yourself, but to help others who are less fortunate, because ultimately you are answerable to the God, not to anybody in life. He will tell me when I go up that I gave you so much wealth, sufficient brain, good energy, but what did you do in life? I have always an answer that I served your children the way I thought was the best. And for my conscience, I work.
Thank you, ma'am.
I don't work for any awards. I don't work for anything in life. When I work for poor people, I feel so much happiness within myself. And that happiness is never by Infosys shares or any diamonds. It is something which only I know what joy it is. And that makes me to work hard.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. Ma'am, thank you so much for spending your time with us here. I'm sure some of them want to collect autographs on books, so if you could maybe spare 5 more minutes, that would be great. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.